So imagine if you was armed with the knowledge that the feminine aspect is wisdom. So now you know what to look for in a wife, a woman who has wisdom. And I mean, look around us. Look around. There's not many of that going on. Wisdom. Everybody's chasing after the next fad or trend, you see? Everybody's doing things that are not wise. Why? Because we come from a system that taught us not to be wise. They taught us that we needed their education system to go get a job. That's not wisdom. That's not wise, because that's not what God gave us. Remember, wisdom is worth more than gold, silver, and any riches you got. See, when they told the story of Solomon when he became king and God asked him what he wanted, he said wisdom. This here, it really opens your eyes up to why they took this out, so that you don't see the power of both man and woman. So they had to choose one. They chose one and put the other one down, and you need them together. See, that man, Solomon, knew he needed wisdom. He needed that feminine aspect of knowledge and understanding and compassion. It's time for you to live out your purpose. It's not for me to decide what your purpose is. It's for me to just tell you, go for your purpose. Everyone has purpose. Oh, no, I can't think of nothing. No, the reason why you can't think of nothing because your mind is so convoluted with all of the polluted information that you received from the day you was born that it's covering up those treasures, that inheritance that God had for you. That's why I said it's already there. It's just you can't see it because you're looking at what man showed you. Soon as you peel that back, you'll see it. But it takes putting forth God first for you to see it. Then you start opening, wow, I could do this. I could do that. It's like a miracle. Once I get ideas, my mind is motivated on ideas, stuff just pop. My favorite technique to make stuff pop is once I get that first idea, move, stop playing. Too many of y'all playing. Y'all call it planning. I call it playing. Planning and playing seem to be right in the same spelling categories. Move around a few words. I call it playing. Yeah, planning is good in some circumstances, but sometimes you get an idea, you just got to move on it. That's why Christ said, be like these children, and then you can enter the kingdom of heaven. You want to write down, how do I want, say if it's your finances, how do I want my money to look, my finances to look right now? And then you write that down and look at that every day. And you have to write it like it's already that way, like it's already taken care of. Like if you say you want millions, okay, I got millions. Right now I have so many millions of dollars. Oh, you're fantasizing. Yes, you are. You're fantasizing with an extra dose of belief that it's real. If you know that this is real, this is not wishful thinking. This will happen for you. What else you got to lose? Really? I tell you what you have to lose. You have to lose those negative thoughts. That's what you'll lose. When you do that, you'll lose the negative thoughts of not having, living in this constant state of poverty and lack, and thinking you can't do something, you can't have this, you can't have that. You'll lose that. That's what you want to lose, right? That's a good loss. Losing all the negative and I can't and this ain't working, all of that, letting all of that go, that's what you're losing. That's what you have to lose. For anything great to come into your life, you have to lose something. You have to let go of something. Some of you got to let go of some of these conversations you're having with people. Some of you have to let go of some of these relatives that you're trying to help and they're dragging you down. They don't have the same mindset. You really have to go into a place of solitude, almost. And that can be a tough thing to do for some of you because you have close ties with your family. I'm not saying cast them out. What I'm saying, you have to mentally say, okay, this person's not ready, but I got to keep moving and keep them at a distance and let them watch you prosper as you move on. It's time for you to live out your purpose. It's not for me to decide what your purpose is. You have to go through something to accomplish something. Say it again. You have to go through something to accomplish something. Unfortunately, a lot of people are not willing to go through something to accomplish something. It's too hard. That's too much. I hear people say it all the time. Man, that stuff you do, I couldn't do that. Working that hard and making all those phone calls, get those loads. I can't do it. That's too much. Basically what they're saying, it's easier for them to go work for somebody and be told what to do. That's what's easy. I think they just be talking when they say that. They don't really understand what they're saying. It's like Christ said when they had him up there crucify him, and he said, forgive them, Father. They know not what they do. And I'll say to that, forgive them, Father. They know not what they say. They don't know the consequences of their very words. They don't know. It's that simple. Do you realize that you're receiving your reward of every word that you utter out of your mouth? There's a saying in the church, power of life and death is in the tongue. And that is very true. The power of life and death is in your tongue. The power of success and failure is in your tongue, in the words you utter. Not just the words you utter, the words you think. Because the thinking of the words come before you actually speak it. You have to double down on it, meaning you have to contract with the word before you speak it, right? You think about it, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and you speak it. You think about it, then you decide to speak it. You create a contract with your consciousness. Oh, I accept what this is as the truth, and I'm going to speak it now so that I can solidify it and see that it comes forth. See, there's a scripture. How can you take the straw out of your brother's eye when you have a rafter in yours? Now, if you understand what that scripture is saying, that means that on one hand, I cannot fix anyone because I got a big old blockage in my vision. And my blockage is I'm still trying to get it right for myself. I can't see around my own issues. So any information I'm giving you is going to be incomplete. It's not going to be consistent with what you need. That's why I always say the best answer I can give you, go within. Study the words yourself. Read things yourself to kind of give you enhancement. I read stuff like Reverend Ike stuff to remind me of my power. Because sometimes I'll forget. I'll get lost. And stuff like this bring me back. I'll read these things over and over again. I'll listen to the same recordings over and over again. And that static are being sacrificed. And that's if your stuff's not available, they can't hear it. Sometimes you got to feel your way through the dark. And I struggled all the way up into the minute. Peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all you guys.
This is Hindsight Radio. I represent it. The information station changing the nation.
All right. What's up? Man, it's been a minute since I did a broadcast. I've been doing my morning walk broadcast on TikTok. But I haven't done a live broadcast on YouTube. Over 20 days maybe? That's the longest time I've ever gone without getting on and talking and giving out information. So I'm back in full effect. I am going, tomorrow is Monday. Remember, Q&A Mondays is still on effect. I hadn't done any in a couple of weeks. Let me turn the music down, of course. Let me turn that down. Peace to all of those people out there in the TikTok world. It looks like I'm having some connection issues here. I'm just gonna. I still haven't really figured out TikTok yet. I'm gonna leave it. People like it. It says I got a poor connection. But anyway. So, what was I saying? I'm back. Went on a 16-day journey, 16-day vacation. Went on an 8-day cruise. We stopped in Dominican Republic was the first stop. Turks and Caicos was the second stop. Then the Bahamas, I think Coco Cay, that private beach that Carnival has. I will say this about Carnival. The cruise was great for the most part. There were some things I didn't like, but I'm going to try some other cruises. I'm not going to bash them. After this, I've done enough Carnivals. I'm going to do Royal Caribbean. I was looking at that ship called the Icon of the Seas. I'm going to do that one. So then after that, we met up in the family. Me and Lauren met up with the rest of the family in what Man, I can't even get it out. Portugal. Um, it was Beth, Rachel, Sammy, all of us. We were there. Our schedule conflicted. Like when she was planning that Portugal trip, um, I got some dates wrong. And so we had to make a choice. I had to do the cruise because I was officiating the wedding for Ahmed and Lamel. Ahmed's my business partner, and his wife is Lamel. Well, shouts out to them. They got married, and they did an 8-day cruise, and then they went to Jamaica for 5 days right after that. So, that just shows you how well things are going for us. But went to Portugal. I love Portugal. I really like the place. It was I felt immediately home when I got there. We stayed in Cascais, and then we stayed in Lisbon. What's funny about Lisbon is the actual name is Lisboa. The natives call it Lisboa, Lisboa. But when you look it up, it's Lisbon, Lisbon. I'm trying to figure out why outsiders are calling it Lisbon, and when you're there, they call it Lisboa. So I'm trying to figure that out. But the most interesting thing on the journey was we stopped at this castle, Central Castle, and Beth had planned this tour of this castle. Shouts out to her; she did a very good job, you know, um, doing the planning. So we stopped at this castle, and but before I get into that, I was reluctant to go to Portugal because it wasn't like a destination that I had thought was a great destination. I knew nothing about it, and she planned it. I went, but it's like somebody does something and you just decide to step into it. Um, so give me. I'm doing some texting. I'm trying to meet up with a friend. Meet. He's a friend. He lives in the neighborhood, and he's the one who took me to the hospital that I had when I had the heart attack. So I'm trying to meet him for lunch today. Um, but I'm kind of glad she planned that, because when I got there, immediately I felt like I belonged there. If you ever go somewhere and you feel like you immediately belong there. The people were friendly. The food was great. The atmosphere, just the energy was just felt so good. So I could actually see myself living there. So I gotta say that was one of the best vacations I've ever taken. I have plenty of pictures. I was trying to put something together to kind of show you guys some of the things that I encountered. But this castle I was talking about, it had this this image on it carved into it called a triton. It's a merman, and it had a tree coming out of his head, and with some grapes growing on the vines, and under it was like looked like the coral reef, and he was sitting in a conch shell on it. I wish I could really show you this image. Let me see if I can. Let me see. Let's see. Trying to, if I can pull it up. That's the scripture we're gonna go over. Let me see if I can pull up some photos, and then let me see secondary display. Trying to pull up photos. I don't want y'all seeing all my photos. All right, let me see if I can pull this up. and then I'll drag it over to the. I gotta learn this platform a little bit better. Oh, my throat's a little. Okay, let me find the picture of what I took. It's this castle, and it's supposed to be some guy takes over the cat or lives in the castle. He's a Christian. They have pictures all over the place of Christ images that they depict as being the Christ. Um, won't get into that falsehood, but for it to be a Christian castle, I thought it was interesting that they would have this image carved right at the entrance of the castle. Sorry, TikTok, y'all not gonna be able to see this picture, but if you go to my YouTube channel, um, type in Akiem AKIEMEL.com, or in YouTube, and you'll pull up my channel and you'll pull up this live. All right, so here's the image, and I'm gonna take it over here so you guys can see it. Let me make sure I'm coming across. Make sure the chat's coming out. Okay, good. All right, so you guys can see that there. I'll really make it big. So this is what's on the front of the castle. That's a merman, and you can see there the branches coming out of his head, leaves, and then some grapes up there. And then he's sitting in a shell, what they call that a conch shell, CONCH shell. Then you have two on the side. Then it's like over here is like the coral reef, and this is at the entrance of the castle. So let me see if I can. I know I had. That's the castle itself. I took a distance, a far off photo. I'm trying to see if I could locate that. That's not it. Yeah, we're not gonna worry about that. But this is on this castle, and then if you notice, like right here, this stretches all around the castle. This design. So I'm asking myself, what is this image doing on a Christian castle? This has nothing to do with Christianity. So I did a search of this image, and what I found out was that that's a Triton, Trinton, and that is the sun. Let me go pull it up. Pull it up. Oh, Triton. So y'all can know it comes from, if I could pull it up in am I speaking saying that right? Triton. Triton. Trenton. Might not be spelling that all right. Let's see, meaning, yeah, it's Triton. It's a sea god, son of Poseidon, and Amphitrite, depicted as having the upper parts of a man with a fish tail and holding a trumpet made from a conch shell. That's just one of the images. So when you pull up the images, you have different depictions of this different god, right? So I'm saying to myself, why would a Christian have all of these images on their castle? And it's not just on the wall and outside, they have other images inside. I don't have time to sort through all the pictures because I took a lot of pictures. So standing there staring at the image, I had really stared at this image for about a good 10 minutes, right? And let me see if I can pull up Triton Centra Castle. See, there it is. That's the actual image there that I took a picture of. It's all over the place. Now you can get to see the fullness of it. See if I can stretch out. You can see the fullness of how that window is laid out. And over here, you can see it. So I'm saying, how is a castle that's supposed to have Christian occupants, they supposedly have built this castle, have this, what I would, as a Christian, growing up as a Christian, would say is demonic image on it. And these little images are all throughout the castle. Why would a Christian leave this on the castle? I mean, back from what I've been taught, these things are forbidden. Now, the story of this, what you're seeing on this image is the creation of the world, saying that we come from the water onto land, and this Triton, created the world because the branches are coming out and it's showing all the leaves and stuff and the fruit of the tree. This story depicts the creation of the world. And if you notice, it says, there's scriptures where Jesus has said, I am the vine, abide in me. I'm actually going to read something like that today. It's funny that that's there. And it says, I think it's right here. Somewhere in either this scripture or another one, he's talking about how he's the branch and the tree, abide in me, which is funny how this Triton story basically is saying that he's the branch or the tree and everyone should abide and connect to him. That's almost lining up with the Christian story with this Greek mythology story. So I've come to this conclusion after standing and staring at this image that the people who claim to have built this castle are not the original builders. They're not the original builders. They are what you call occupiers. Or how they would put it on the placards or inscribe them in stone, they'll say founded in 1839, founded in the 1900s, founded, meaning they found that castle like it was and claimed it for themselves. We already know about how colonizers went around the world and just started claiming things. They discovered something. And one of the funniest things that happened on the trip, we was all in the van, the man that was taking us on the tour. He said, yeah, the Portuguese, they discovered something. He said something about discovered. So Beth's like, was there people, she asked the question. I already knew where she was going when she asked this question. She said, was there people here already that, before they got here? And at first he seemed a little confused. What do you mean? People here? And she was like, was there people living here when these guys got here? So she was like, yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. The Indians, and this is exactly what he said. The Indians, and this is a man who is from Brazil, lives in Portugal now, lives in Cascais, Portugal. So he called them Indians, and which I also thought was interesting. So she said, well, how did they discover something if somebody was there? Me, usually I'm the one who will question all of that stuff. But she jumped out ahead of me and she did it. And I just kept my mouth shut. I was like, okay, here we go. He said, oh, yeah, then he brought up somehow Christopher Columbus got into the conversation. I said Christopher Columbus didn't even. They claim he discovered America, but he didn't even discover that. He ended up in the West Indies somewhere, so he ain't discovered nothing. So basically, these guys claim they discover stuff, and then they claim it as an original when people already there. You can't discover something when there's already people living there. And Reverend Ike said in one of his speeches that Dick Gregory actually said this because he was quoting Dick Gregory. He said, that's like saying that I parked my car in a garage and then someone came over and they discovered my car like it's something new, but the car belongs to me. And that's the same thing. You have natives, they lived there, what he called the Indians. That was their land. And that's their land. So they didn't discover anything. You just came and onto somebody's property, and then you said, now I discovered this. And we all know why they did. It's called manifest destiny. And if you're not a Christian, you're considered a heathen, and they have the right to kill you, take over your land because you're not of God, according to them. But back to that image that they had on the wall. So how does a Christian justify occupying a castle with what Christians today would call demonic? Because if you don't know, there's dozens or hundreds or thousands of creation stories, and this is one of them. And actually, this story is older than the Christian version of the creation story. This Triton, there's others older than this, but this is one of the many. And I could go on and read. I'll go into the details of that on Tuesday. Well, Tuesday when I do my Tuesday show. Because Mondays is question and answer shows. So and the other thing before I get into the subject that I wanted to talk about, talking about the truth will set you free. The truth always sets you free. But before I get into that, and this is part of truth. This right here is truth. Knowing what your history is. When I got there, these people thought I was Portuguese. They automatically started to talk to me in Portuguese as if I was a native. Me and my daughter went out together. We went to this place called Time Out Market. Man, if you go to Portugal and go to Lisbon, go there. Time Out Market is a bunch of top food vendors in this place. Food. I mean, they had everything you could find is in there. Drinks, food, ice cream. So we went and got some gelato. And we decided to go out into the little area. There's a little park bench out there, and then there's a statue standing there. And we were sitting out there eating our gelato. So this man walks up to us, look, my complexion, and he says to me, man, he just starts talking to me in Portuguese. And I say, hey, I don't speak Portuguese. And he was like, oh, you look like you could be one of my relatives. This is what he says to me. You look like you could be one of my relatives. He said, if you never told me that, I just assumed you were a Portuguese. And I know a lot of y'all look at the Portuguese pictures and y'all see these lighter skinned people, and that's your image of what Portuguese people are, who they are. That's just part of the picture. Yes, they're lighter skinned. And let me tell you something. These lighter skinned Portuguese people had color in their skin, and they were sitting on the beach in the hot sun with no uh shade, and they weren't getting burnt. So these were a different type of light skinned folks. So and when you looked at this beach, you saw people of different shades there. Mostly of color, but from darker to you're really light, but they still had that tint of color, that olive colored skin. And their people were friendly. It was like, no one was treating us like we were outcasts like we get in this country. But so the guy is like, of course, he was being really nice because he needed help. He needed some money. So I dropped him some money. But he was like, yeah, and we talked a little bit, and then he went on about his business. But I loved the place. It was a good trip. It was something we needed. Hadn't taken a real vacation in a long time. Couple of days here, a couple of days, but 16 days was the longest vacation I've ever taken at one time, all at once. So time to make the donuts now. And speaking of donuts, let's go to John. And right there it says the truth will set you free. So in the words of the Christ, it says, so Jesus said to the Jews who have believed in him, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Now, what is truth? What is the truth? That's the question. Knowing the truth, to know the truth, you got to know what is the truth. And a lot of times we are so caught up, or we're so distracted by worldly distractions. I wanted to use another word, that we don't know what the truth really is. We really don't. But there is a ultimate truth. That if we can get this ultimate truth and understand this truth fully, it would change your life. It will make your life better, just understanding. That's why I said the truth will set you free. Like, what is truth? So many, this truth over here. No, but there is one ultimate truth. But I'll tell you what that is in a minute. I'll read this again. It says, if you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. They answered him, we are offspring of Abraham and have never been enslaved to anyone. How is it that you say you will become free? See, they was confused. Well, what, set me free? I'm already free. I'm already got what I need. I ain't never been, we are offerings of Abraham. I ain't never been slave to anybody. And seeing that was the delusion. They was under a big misconception that freedom meant not being in bondage to someone physically. But there's forms of slavery, and it's called mental slavery. And this system is designed to keep you in mental slavery. Just on a financial level, what happens? You have to go to work, and they take money out of your check before you even get it. They didn't help you work at their job. And they take what, 20, 30, 40%? Just depend. If you get a bonus, they taking out more. That's slavery. When someone says they have the authority to take from you without your consent, well, it's kind of with your consent. They make you believe, they say you have to do this, but at the same time, you have to sign the paperwork consenting to get it done. So if you haven't caught how crazy that is, let me make it plain. I have to do a tax return, and I have to sign an epistle of perjury to say that it's all true and correct, or I can get in trouble, basically, even go to prison. But they say it's mandatory that you do this. See, let me help you. If Let me help you see something. No one can force you to sign anything. So if I have to sign it, that means it's voluntary. If I have to agree to it, that means it's voluntary. Get that? Although society says it's not. No, you got to do your duty. They did a good job taking 90% of the population and making them believe that they're doing something civically correct while taking their money from them before they get paid before you get paid. You hear me? They get paid before you get paid. That's not how God created us. But enough about that. So they thought freedom meant not being in captivity of somebody else. But really, slavery is just not knowing. You could be a mental slave just not knowing the truth about who you really are. Because if you don't know who you really are, you're going to attach yourselves to things that are not truthful, that will eventually make you a slave mentally. Some of your hardcore beliefs with religion, whatever it is enslaving you. Jesus answered them, truly, truly, I say to you, everyone who practices sin is a slave. The slave does not remain in the house forever. The son remains forever. So if the son sets you free, you will be freed indeed. I know that you are the offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my word finds no place in you. I speak of what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have heard from your father. So he says he speaks of what he's seen in his father. Who is his father? His father comes from a heavenly place. Now, is this some physical place where God resides? To an extent. That heavenly place is simply your higher self. That's where your truth lies. Within you. God is in you, within you, works with you, works through you. That's where God resides. That's why Jesus always said, abide in me, connect to me, become one with me. Then he goes on to say, you are your father, the devil, meaning the devil lower from a lower place, a lower consciousness. They answered him, Abraham is our father. Jesus said to them, if you were Abraham's children, you will be doing the works Abraham did. But now you seek to kill me, a man who has told you the truth that I heard from God. I heard from my higher place. I come from a divine place. This is not what Abraham did. You are doing the works your father did. They said to him, we were not born of sexual immorality. We have one father, even God. They're still thinking physical. They haven't gotten it yet. And that's why so many people, when you try to share information, they don't get it. When you tell somebody, like for instance, I give you an example. You have a problem with something and then you define that problem as a problem, you have just made a contract with that problem because you called it a problem. So where is the problem? The problem is simply you called it the problem. You prophesied that as being a problem. So the real problem is simply how you perceive it. That's it. That's the problem. There's no other problem but mental problems. The physical world that you see and exist in and touch and manipulate is just the effects of the mental problem or the mental projections of your mind. Everything you're seeing, everything you're receiving from people is exactly what you have put out in the energy you have put out there into the world to get back. Be careful, God is not to be mocked. You will reap what you sow. You will mentally reap. What you mentally sow, you will reap that. See, they were so caught up in looking at things and physical fathers, they never stepped back to say, there's something bigger than this physical body. There's something more divine than this physical body that they couldn't see what Christ was saying. And that's why God, he called them, they of the devil. Why? Because they couldn't see and connect to the higher consciousness of what Christ was talking about. What did they want to do? They wanted to kill him for it, for telling the truth. Isn't that how this world works? Anybody that tells the truth is crucified. You come with the truth. See, the truth don't get a lot of listeners. Like I look at let's see, let's look at this. 8 people that want to hear the truth right now. Sometimes I'll be at 20, 30 here and there. And by the way, it's 80 you on. I should have 8 thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Thank you. And I know I haven't been on in a while. Some people, got distracted by life and forgot there's a show today. They'll be back. He says, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. I know that you are offspring of Abraham, yet you seek to kill me because my words finds no place in you. Your word is not finding in anybody's place, no matter who it is, if they're not really working in truth. If they are lying and conniving and doing things to manipulate things, there's no way you can speak a truth and they can comprehend that because that's not of them. They would never perceive anything truthful or even relate to it. I speak of what I have seen with my father, and you do what you have heard from your father. They answered him, Abraham is our father. Jesus said, if you are Abraham's children, you would be. Oh, I read that part. I'm sorry. Why do you not understand what I say? It is because you cannot bear to hear my word. Just like I said, the lie does not accept the truth. You are your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desire. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies. But because I tell the truth, you do not believe me. Which one of you convicts me of sin? If I tell the truth, why do you not believe me? Whoever is of God hears the words of God. The reason why you do not hear them is that you are not of God. So when you're speaking your divine truth or operating in truth, the liars can't hear. They can't comprehend it. This is why they were so confused about, well, I ain't never been a slave. What are you talking about, slavery? They couldn't step back and say, what is he really talking about? See, one thing that lies, when lies are present, when a person is operating from a place of lies, they will never perceive spiritual things until they start operating in truth. So give yourself a hand. If you could perceive what I'm saying, that means you're operating out of truth. If you can connect to that, if you can understand what this scripture is saying, not so much what I'm saying, what this scripture is saying, because this is all metaphor, allegorical information. Because all of this is really talking about you. It's talking about me. Jesus is merely you. Christ is you. Christ is me. Christ is everyone. And it's talking about your journey, how you are going and interacting with this outside world, with the world, and how it's reacting back to you. So if you want to have peace and you want to have a good life, what happens? You have to connect to the truth of who you really are. You are a divine manifestation of God, a truthful divine manifestation of God. But if you're not operating in that, then you are operating out of the other father, which is the devil, lies, the physical, connecting, only wanting to seek pleasure in a physical way, seeking physical things as a way to heal, which doesn't really heal you, it just causes more problems. See, a spiritual person can be healed just by a thought, just by perceiving and seeing themselves within the mind, with their mind's eye, that they are healed and they will be healed. But a non-truthful person go to seek things and people and places to get healed. The true healing starts within you. Everything else is your belief in that thing that will heal you. It starts here. Everything starts in the mind. Everything starts in your divine consciousness. See, you are supposed to be led by your higher self. Your higher self is supposed to control the physical self. But all too often, most people are allowing the physical self to lead them. And that always leads to problems. The Jews answered him, "Are we not right in saying that you are a Samaritan and have a demon?" Jesus answered, "I do not have a demon, but I honor my Father, and you dishonor me." See, anytime you're speaking anything opposite of the lie, you're a demon. See, that's what they say. The truth becomes the lie in this world, and the lie becomes the truth for most people. I mean, can't you see what happened what's transpired over the last week? If you don't realize that there's a bunch of lies going on, we had uh, that speech, the debate that went crazy, where Biden didn't do so well because he looked mentally incapable of handling himself. Then Trump gets shot, grazed his ear. Then Biden gets COVID, and then now we have a presidential front runner for the Democrats, Kamala Harris. Yeah, the liars are creating a story for you to believe in. And if you follow them down that path of darkness, you will remain in darkness. So what do you have to do? You got to be in the world, but not of the world. You see all of these trends, say, listen, those are the devil children. That's their thing. Let the devil children follow the devils. Okay? Because it's a game. They're playing games with your mind. See, as long as they can distract you from the one truth about who you really are, your divine purpose, and that you don't need someone to control your life and control you, tell you how to live throughout society. God had already equipped you with the power and the divinity in order to handle that. See, that's why all of these distractions are here. So you could turn on the news and watch that nonsense. So you could turn on the news and adopt and accept that this is a bad economy. If this economy is bad, I can't do good. No, your economy, the only economy that you have is your mental economy. And you keep your mental economy healthy, your finances will be healthy. So there you have it. What is the truth? That will set you free? That you're a divine manifestation of God. Came here with the purpose to do one thing: shine your light of divinity, your truth of who you really are. And with that being said, I think I said enough. Let me close this out. I think I said enough. First show back in 16, 20 days, baby. I think I said enough. So remember, stay on your purpose, stay on your truth, and see yourself as God sees you, how you have been created as this wonderful divine being. You have so much to offer the world. Now, remember something: you can't change the world, you can only change yourself. And through the change in yourself, the world gets changed. And with that being said, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all. Peace. You want to write down, how do I want, say if it's your finances, how do I want my money to look, my finances to look right now? And then you write that down and look at that every day. And you have to write it like it's already that way, like it's already taken care of. Like if you say you want millions, okay, I got millions. Right now I have so many millions of dollars. Oh, you're fantasizing. Yes, you are. You're fantasizing with an extra dose of belief that it's real. If you know that this is real, this is not wishful thinking. This will happen for you. What else you got to lose? Really? I'll tell you what you have to lose. You have to lose those negative thoughts. That's what you'll lose. When you do that, you'll lose the negative thoughts of not having, living in this constant state of poverty and lack, and thinking you can't do something, you can't have this, you can't have that. You'll lose that. That's what you want to lose, right? That's a good loss. Losing all the negative and I can't and this ain't working, all of that, letting all of that go, that's what you're losing. That's what you have to lose. For anything great to come into your life, you have to lose something. You have to let go of something. Some of you got to let go of some of these conversations you're having with people. Some of you have to let go of some of these relatives that you're trying to help and they're dragging you down. They don't have the same mindset. You really have to go into a place of solitude, almost. And that could be a tough thing to do for some of you because you have close ties with your family. I'm not saying cast them out. What I'm saying, you have to mentally say, okay, this person's not ready, but I got to keep moving and keep them at a distance and let them watch you prosper as you move on.